Hello and welcome to this Applied Python course. This course is so powerful. This course is a powerful training program about creating real programs using the core Python programming language. And also this course is so effective, direct to the point, detailed, and will save your precious time. You will learn how to use the modern Python to create real-life applications by using different techniques and methods step by step. This course is so important and special for any intermediate Python developer or anyone who wants to learn how to apply Python in real life. So, do you want to write real programs with the Python programming language in a short time and quickly? If yes, if your answer is yes, this training course is for you and will help you a lot to become a professional Python developer in no time. By the end of this course, you will learn to build these programs. You will learn to build 3 automatic translation programs with 3 different libraries and tools from the Python libraries and tools. Also, you will build and manage different types of data files such as CSV files, pickle files, JSON files using the Python programming language easily. After that, you will learn how to work with the PDF files using Python programming language, how to manage these files. You will manage PDF files using Python programming libraries simply. Also in this course, we will be using the object-oriented basics to store the details for many employees. We are gonna create a program to store the data for each employee. The next program is about building a real digital clock using Python programming language and libraries for this operation or for this task to code the digital clock from the ground up. We are gonna create real digital clock. After that, you will learn to create an application for guessing a number from random numbers depending on 3 levels we are going to set: easy, medium, and hard. We will explore this program step by step also. The next one is creating a music loader using a Python library. This library is called Pygame library. We are gonna install and import that library to use functions for our task from that library, and this library is so popular. After that, after creating a music loader, we are gonna be creating a full music and audio player using Python programming language, a full application to play music or play an audio file with these 2 libraries, Pygame and Tkinter. After that, we are gonna build another application or another program. This program is a real video player using the Python programming language with libraries such as OpenCV library. We are gonna install that library for computer vision and we will use it after that to create video player using Python. Our last program in this course is about building a database from a CSV file. Simply, I'll show you how to create a database from a CSV file we have. Now let's talk about the requirements to take this course. The first requirement to take this course is the basics of the Python programming language, such as variables, conditional if statements, loops, functions, classes, and so on. The second requirement in this course is the Jupyter Notebook. You should know how to work with the Jupyter Notebook, or you can use any IDE or any text editor or any working environment for Python. Feel free to use any IDE or any working environment to follow and to get the most out of this course. My name is Ahmed Ibrahim. I am a software engineer and instructor, and I'll be the instructor for this course. Thank you so much for watching. Automatic translation using Python programming language. Hi everyone, welcome to this lesson. There are many libraries in Python programming language that you can use for automatic translation. The first library that we are gonna use for automatic translation using Python programming language is called Ghostlet library. Simply, Ghostlet is a Python library. That library is free to use, and also it's free Python API to Google Translation Service, also for querying Google Translation. That library that we are gonna use in our program is free, fast, and simple, and we must install it first before starting our application. We are gonna install it using the pip package using pip install Ghostlet, and after that you can import it simply using the import statement, using import followed by the name of that library before starting our program at the beginning of our program simply. And for the second program in this section, we are gonna use another library. That library is called Translate. So what is that library called Translate from Python libraries? The Translate library is a Python library, and you can use it for powerful translation as a powerful translation tool with support for multiple translation providers. And that library offers integration with Microsoft Translation API, Translated My Memory API, Library Translation, and many more. This Translate library offers integration with many translation providers in addition to that. And in our program, we are gonna install it first. We must install it first using the pip package at the beginning of the notebook. We are gonna use the pip package using this command here, or this statement, pip install translate. Just use this statement or this command, pip install followed by the name of that library, and after that you will see this library is installed and you can use it. You can import it, or you can import modules or functions from that module. We are gonna import translator from that module called translate, or that library called translate, using this statement from translate import translator, and I'll show you that practically. Now let's talk about our last library for automatic translation in this section. The last translation tool in this section for the last program in this section, or the third program, is called TextBlob. This library is from Python libraries, and you can use it for processing textual data. That library that is called TextBlob provides a simple API for diving into common natural language processing tasks, such as classification, translation, and many more. And in this section, by using that library, we are gonna use the translation technique or the translation tasks from that library simply. And to install that library, we are gonna use pip install TextBlob. Pip install followed by the name of that library, and you will see that library is successfully installed before starting importing it or using it inside our program simply. I will show you that. And after that, we are gonna import TextBlob from that library. You can import any function, you can import any module from that library after installing it. Finally, you should know that there are many libraries in Python programming language that you can use for translation techniques, such as PyTranslate, Google Trans, and many more also in addition to that. Now let me show you that practically. Let me show you how to use the Ghostlet library, also Translate, also the last one, TextBlob library, for translating languages simply and easily. Thanks a lot for watching. See you again next lesson. Hi everyone, welcome to this lesson about using the Ghostlet library for automatic translation practically. Let's get started by installing that library using the pip package at the first cell. Pip is a package manager in Python programming language that you can use to install libraries simply. Just type pip install followed by the name of that library, exactly as we will do with the Ghostlet library here inside the Jupyter notebook to install that library before using it simply. By using the pip package manager to install that library using this command pip install ghostlet library, pip install followed by the name of that library, in this case, you will see that library is installed successfully on your device now inside that Jupyter notebook. So you can use it after that by importing that library or importing any function from that library using the import statement or the import keyword with the from keyword. Now let's learn how to import that library, and after that we are gonna translate from a language to another language. Let me show you that. You can see here our first program is to translate a text or the string data type. Python is so powerful using the ghostlet library. And you can see we imported that library first. You must import it first to work with that library and to work with functions from that library. The import statement followed by the name of the library called ghostlet, as you can see, and after that we assigned a string data type to a variable called inserted text, and you can call it any name you wish instead of using this name, but try to put a meaningful name or a descriptive name for the value of that variable. The value of that variable is Python is so powerful. You can put any string data type in between double quotes or single quotes, or you can use triple quotes for multi-line string data type, and you can insert multi-line string data type here to translate it. After that, we use the function. We call the function called ghostlet from the ghostlet library or the ghostlet module. Call that function with capital G after the dot notation, after the name of the module or the name of that library called ghostlet. We assign this as a value for a variable called new JS. That's it, simply. You can name it any name you wish also. You can name the variable any name you wish instead of using new.js. This is as an example. After that, we use the name of that variable refers to the operation of the ghostlet after using the ghostlet inside it, or after assigning the ghostlet function, the calling of that function from the module called ghostlet to this variable. We used the name of the variable followed by the dot notation and the translate function. The translate function from that library or that module, you can use it with that module, and it has two parameters as you can see. The first parameter is our text or our string data type here, the text that we want to translate, and after that you will see the extension or you will see the abbreviation for that language that we want to translate to it. We want to translate this language, we want to translate this text from the English language to the Spanish language. That's it, so easy and so simple as you can see. Put the abbreviation for the language as the second argument for the translate function here. To see the Spanish translation for this string data type here or this text, hit Shift Enter or Shift Return or run the cell. And also you can change the language for any language, any valid language in the ghostlet library. For example, you can change from Spanish to French if you want to translate from English to French, and you will see the output for that operation. So simple and so easy as you can see. And you can change to Spanish again or Arabic or any language you wish, any valid language you wish for this operation here. And you can insert any text instead of using Python is so powerful here. You can insert another variable and you can set a text as a value or a string as a value for that variable you created, and you can translate it using the same way. Thank you so much for watching. See you again next lesson. Hello and welcome to this lesson. Welcome to this practical lesson about using the translate library from Python libraries for translation or automatic translation. This is the second technique we are gonna use. We are gonna use that library for automatic translation to translate from a language to another language. Let me show you that. We need to install that library first using the pip package. Let's do that. By using the pip package exactly as you can see, using that statement or that command, pip install followed by the name of the library, pip install followed by translate, our library name here, and hit shift enter or shift return, and you will see that library is installed successfully and you can use it after that. This is about installation. The installation for that library simply. You must install it first. Don't forget that. After installing that library called translate, you can import it. Also, you can import any function or any method or any module from that library simply at the beginning of your program. Let me show you that. We are gonna use a method called translator from that library called translate. Let's use the from keyword with the import statement to import that method from the translate library simply. This is our example here for translating text from a language to another language simply using the translate library, using a method from that library called translator. By using from translate import translator, we imported the method called translator from the library called translate. Use that statement at the beginning and you can use the method called translator after that from the translate library. So simple. Create a variable and assign the calling of that function translator to that variable exactly as you can see. And it has two parameters or two arguments in this case, from language and to language. The first one is from language and the value for the first argument is equal to English. And the second one, the value for the second argument to language is equal to Spanish. The value for the second argument is equal to Spanish, as you can see. So simple. After that we created another variable and we used a method called translate from that library called translate also to translate that text. This is a useful library from English to Spanish. You will see the variable name translator followed by the dot notation followed by the calling of the function from the translate library, and inside the parentheses of that function that text or that string data type. This is a useful library to translate it from English to Spanish. This is so easy as you can see. We set a value for the translation variable. This value is the variable name for the translator method, and also followed by the dot notation followed by the calling of the translate function with our text that we want to translate. After that, the print function to print out the result, to print out translation, to show the output for that translation process. And you can see the output after hitting shift enter or shift return for that program. We translated that text. This is a useful library from English to Spanish, and you can see the Spanish result here. Also, you can change the arguments values for the translator function. For example, you can translate to Arabic. Also, you can translate to another language. For example, you can translate from English to German, as you can see. So easy and so simple. Thanks a lot for watching. See you again next lesson. Hi everyone, welcome to this lesson. In this lesson I will show you the third technique or the third library for automatic translation using Python programming language. This library is called TextBlob. Let me show you how to install that library first by using the pip package, and after that I will show you how to use that library by taking real example. At the beginning you must install that library using the pip package exactly as you can see, by using the pip install statement followed by the name of that library, TextBlob in this case. Hit shift enter or shift return and you will see that library will be installed, and you can use it after installing it. You must install it first using this command or using the statement pip install text blob. Now you can import it and use any function or any method from that library simply to translate languages. We need a method from that library called text blob. This method is called text blob, capital T or uppercase T and uppercase B for blob. You can see by using the statement from text blob, import text blob, and after that you can use that function text blob, and you can insert any text inside the parentheses of that function if you want to translate that text, exactly as you can see for this example here. We just created a variable, and this variable is called adding underscore blob, or name it any name you wish or call it any name. Try to put a descriptive or a meaningful name that describes its value, and we call that function after importing it. This function is called text blob as a value for the adding blob variable, and the argument for that function is easy way to translate a text in Python. You can insert any text in between single quotes or double quotes as a string data type, as you can see inside the braces of the calling of the function called text blob. That's it, easily as you can see. Using the name of the variable called adding underscore blob refers to the function called text blob for that text, easy way to translate a text in Python, followed by the dot notation, followed by the translate function from that library called text blob. You can insert an argument to translate to another language. That argument is called to translate to another language, and this language in this case is equal to AR or Arabic, to translate from English to Arabic. That's it. The argument is equal to Arabic, as you can see. 2 is equal to AR in between single quotes, or you can use double quotes as well. The variable name followed by the dot notation followed by the calling of the function called translate, and the argument you can see inside the parentheses of that function. That's it. So easy and so simple, as you can see. Also, you can translate to many languages, to many valid languages using that library, for example Spanish, French, and many more, and you will see the output simply inside the text blob function. In the output you will see the output inside the parentheses of the text blob function in the output, easily as you can see. Install that library first, then import it, or import the function called text blob from the text blob library, and after that you can use that function to insert a text as a parameter or as an argument for that function, and you can use the calling, or you can call the translate function with its parameter or its argument to translate to another language with the extension for that language or the abbreviation for the language, exactly as we did here in this example. That's it, simply. Thanks a lot for watching. See you again next lesson. CSV files and how to manage CSV data files using Python programming language. What is the CSV file? What is the meaning of the abbreviation CSV? CSV stands for comma separated values. That's it. Inside any CSV file, you will see all the values are separated using commas. Also, you should know that a CSV file is a plain text file, and you can store large numerical values or large tables inside a CSV file using plain text, and also using comma separated values formula. You can open CSV files using Notepad or using many programs or text editors, and you can analyze the data of a CSV file using Excel from Microsoft Office. And if you want to visualize the data of a CSV file using plotting or using advanced techniques for data visualization or graphs, you can use Excel. This is simple and easy way to do that. You can use Excel from Microsoft Office. But for advanced analytics and visualization, you can use programming languages like Python programming language. This is for advanced graphs. You can use Python libraries to do that, to analyze and visualize the data from inside a CSV file. You can use NumPy, Pandas, and many more for data analytics, for data analysis, to analyze the data of a CSV file easily using advanced techniques. And also you can visualize the data of a CSV file using Python libraries such as Matplotlib, Seaborn, and many more. Python programming language is so powerful for data analysis, so you can visualize and analyze the data of a CSV file using Python to make decisions based on these analyses. And also there are many modules to work with the CSV files using Python programming language and libraries. So you can use a module called CSV to work with the CSV files and manage the data from a CSV file so easy. And also you can use Pandas, Matplotlib, NumPy as we said beforehand. And in the next lesson I'll show you how to work with the CSV file using NumPy by taking a simple example. Any CSV file ends with the extension .csv. Put the file name, put the CSV file name, any descriptive or meaningful name. You can name it any name you wish, followed by the extension of these files, which is .csv. Don't forget that. Any CSV file ends with this extension. That's it. And you can create these files using Notepad, using Excel, or by using many text editors easily. Or you can create CSV file as we will do using Python programming language. And this is so easy and so simple to do, to create CSV files and work with the CSV files using Python programming language. That's it for this lesson. Thanks a lot for watching. See you again next lesson. Hi everyone. Welcome to this lesson about how to work with the CSV files in Python programming language. How to create CSV files practically. I'll show you how to generate random numerical values inside CSV file. I'll show you how to store these values inside the plain text file called CSV file. Then I'll show you how to load it using the Python programming language with a single library, and this library is called NumPy library. You can work with the CSV files. You can manage CSV files and read data from CSV files and many more using Python programming language by using a module called CSV. You can import it using the import statement and you can use it after that. But in this lesson I will show you how to generate random numerical values using the NumPy library with a function from this library and store it inside a CSV file that we are gonna create also. Then we are gonna read the data and load the data from this file, from the plain text file or the CSV file that we are gonna create. Also, if you wanna analyze the data of a CSV file and visualize the data of the CSV file, you can use libraries from Python libraries like Pandas, Matplotlib, and many more. Now let's get started to start coding our program. You can see the first step in this program is the NumPy library, importing the NumPy library using the statement import NumPy as MP. The import statement is a reserved keyword from the Python library, from the Python standard library. You can use it to import any library, any module you wish. Import followed by the name of the library, which is NumPy, and the as keyword to give this library an alias or to rename this library, and the new name in this case is MP. So you can use this new name after that instead of using the full name of that library called NumPy. Now let's talk about how to generate random numerical values using the NumPy library after that. To generate random numerical values, to generate random floating point numbers, you can use a built-in function from the numerical Python or the NumPy library, and this function is called random.random. You can see this function here to generate random numbers, random floating point numbers from 0.0 or 0 to 1 or from 0.0 to 1.0. But you can notice that in this example, we want to generate 50 rows and 4 columns of data. So we inserted 50 first, the number of rows. We want to generate data, we want to generate floating point numbers from 0 to 1 inside 50 rows. And also we want to generate 4 columns of data, 50 rows and 4 columns. This is our table, but in the plain text format inside a CSV file. So that we have 2 arguments here, the number of rows and the number of columns for our file. And don't forget to put the name of the library, which is MP, before the name of the function. MP before .random, the dot notation in between the name of the module or the name of the library, MP, and the function called random.random, and we stored the value or this operation inside a variable called new underscore data to use the name of that variable. After that, if you want to access the result for this operation, or if you want to access this operation directly many times. We generated random numbers using this statement. Now it's time to create our CSV file to save these random numerical values, these random floating point numbers inside a CSV file. We want to give a name for the CSV file, and also we want to put some arguments and some values. For example, the name of headers for the CSV file or for this table. Let me show you that. By using the NumPy library also, we used a function from this library, and this function is called saveText. You can call this function directly without any need to design this function or construct this function from the beginning. Put the name MP, refers to the NumPy library, followed by the dot notation, and after that the function name. And look at the parentheses or the braces of that function, of the saveText function. You can see some arguments. The first argument is the file name that we want to create. The file name in that case, we want to call it main. You can name it any name you wish instead of main if you want to save this file, if you want to create it and save it. Main, and don't forget to put the extension for that file. This is a CSV file, so any CSV file ends with the extension .csv. This is the first argument. Then comma, we separated in between the arguments using commas. After the first comma, you can see the variable name, the data that we want to generate. We want to generate 50 rows and 4 columns of data, of numerical data from 0 to 1, of floating point numbers from 0.0 to 1.0. And you can take a look at the third argument, format or FMT. The value of this argument here is the reminder or the percentage sign followed by .2f to print the result or to display the values inside the CSV file with 2 decimal points. Any number with 2 decimal points from the numbers that we want to generate, from the random numbers from 0 to 1. Any number from these numbers will be with 2 decimal points after the decimal point. And after that you can see the delimiter. The delimiter in this case is comma. We want to separate the plain text, the values inside the plain text using comma. And after that you can see the headers, 4 columns inside the CSV file, the main CSV file that we want to create and save the data inside it. For the first column, its header is equal to h1. The second header is h2 for the second column, h3 for the third column, h4 for the last column, which is the fourth column inside the CSV file. And you know that we want to generate 4 columns of data, so we have 4 headers here from h1 to h4. And if you want to create the CSV file, the main CSV file in this example in different place, in different location, you can put the location before the file name at the first argument. But in this case, we want to generate it in the current working directory for this Jupyter notebook, this notebook here called managing data files. From the current working location, let me show you the generated main CSV file. You can open the CSV file that we created using Notepad or Excel or any program you wish or any text editor. Look at the numerical values here. Each number is a floating point number. 50 rows and 4 columns of random data from 0.0 to 1.0, from 0 to 1. But all the numbers are floating point numbers or float with decimal points, with 2 decimal points due to using fmt is equal to modulo dot 2f. This argument will give you the 2 decimal points result like that. You can read the CSV file data like that using any program, but we want to load the data using Python programming language, using the Python code. You can analyze the data of the CSV file, as we said beforehand, using libraries like pandas, and visualize the data like using libraries like matplotlib, plotly, seaborn, and many more. But in this case here, we want to load the data of the CSV file directly using NumPy also. To read the data or to load the text from the CSV file, you can use a function from the NumPy library. This function is called mp.loadText. This function is a built-in function. You can call it directly also. You can use it without any need to construct it. And it has arguments. The first argument is the file that we want to load the text from inside it. We want to load the text of the main.csv file in the same working directory, in the same location, in the current working directory. If you want to load a text from another working directory or a file or a CSV file from another directory, try to put the location before the file name here, and don't forget to put the extension of the CSV file. This is the first argument in between the parentheses of the load text function or the calling of the load text function, and the second argument is the delimiter, and the delimiter is comma, as you can see. And also you have to store this operation from the right side or assign it to a variable to use the name of the variable to load the text or to read the text from inside the CSV file. CSV file is a plain text file. We stored the operation of the right side, mp.loadText main.csv delimiter is equal to comma to a variable called reading_csv. Try to put a descriptive variable name if you wish, or you can call it any name instead of using the same variable name. Try to do this by yourself also. After that, you can use the variable name to show or to read the full text, the full plain text from inside the CSV file called main, or you can read specific rows and specific columns. Let me show you that also. You can take a look at here the variable name called reading_CSV that we assigned our operation to it, that we want to load the text using the load text function from inside the reading_CSV. We want to access this operation. We want to get the text from the CSV file using the variable name that is called reading_CSV. And after that, you can see square brackets. The number of rows comes first, followed by the number of columns, and we separated in between them using comma. We want to display the first 4 rows, but 4 is not included. From the beginning of rows, from the first row that has the index 0 and the 4th row that has the index 3, but the 5th row that has the index 4 is not included. And after that, we want to display all the column of these rows. Now you can hit Shift Enter or Shift Return, or hit the Run button to show the output of this cell, to show the output of this program. You can see the output is an array using reading_CSV :4, colon inside square brackets. Once you hit Shift Enter or Shift Return, you will see this output, an array, the first 4 rows and also the 4 columns of random numerical values from 0 to 1. That's it. So easy and so simple. As you can see the first row inside a list or inside an array, and after the first row, comma, we separate in between rows using comma, this separator in between the rows inside the array of the output. As you can see, the first row, then comma, the second row, then comma, the third row, then comma, and so on. This is our array. This is our output. Now let's quickly summarize what we did in this lesson. First of all, to generate 50 rows and 4 columns of data of floating point numbers, we used the NumPy library to generate numerical values. First, we imported it first using the import statement, import NumPy as MP. After that, we called a function called random.random, and in between the parentheses of that function, we inserted the number of rows, and the second argument is the number of columns. And to create and save the data inside a CSV file, we used a function from the NumPy library, and this function is called saveText function. You can call it directly, and you can see the first argument is the file name with its extension .csv, followed by the variable name called new_data, the data that we want to generate, followed by 2 decimal points for each number using fmt argument. After that, the delimiter for the plain text, and the last one is the headers. The headers for columns inside the CSV file, each 1 to each 4. After creating the CSV file and saved the floating point numbers inside the CSV file, we used Python programming language with the NumPy library from Python libraries to read the CSV file data using load text, to load the data from the current working directory, to load the data from a CSV file that we created called main. The load text function from the NumPy library to load the plain text from the CSV file, comma separated values text file. And after that, the variable name, we used the variable name to access the four rows from inside this text file or this CSV file simply. and you can see the output inside an array. That's it simply about this lesson. Thanks a lot for watching. See you again next lesson. How to work with pickle files in Python programming language. Hi, welcome to this lesson. In this lesson I'll show you how to manage pickle files using Python programming language. But first, let's define pickle files. What are pickle files? And how can we use these files using Python programming language? Let's get started. Previously we talked about CSV files and how to manage these files using Python programming language. And if you want to store data in a binary file on a disk, you can use another way to store the data but using Python programming language only. You can store data in a binary file on a disk using pickle files. And you know, this kind of files is created only for Python programming language. So you can use Python programming language only to show pickle data. You can load the data from any pickle file using Python programming language. So how it works? A pickle file is a binary file. So once you create it and store the data inside any pickle file using the Python programming language, the program will serialize the data inside this pickle file. And after that, if you want to load the data from this pickle file, you can deserialize back to a Python object. So you can show the data using Python programming language. And I'll show you that. I'll show you that practically in the next lesson. And if you want to work with pickle files in Python programming language, there is a module called pickle. So you can import it using the import statement first, then you can use the name of this module to work with pickle files easily, to store data in a binary file, to serialize the data in a binary file on a disk, and then you can unpickle or deserialize the data again to show it using Python programming language. That's it. This module is called pickle. So you can use it by calling it or by importing it using the import statement, this reserved keyword followed by the name of the module or the name of this library called pickle. What is the extension of any pickle file? Any pickle file ends with the extension .pkl, pickle. Once you create it using Python programming language using any descriptive name or any meaningful name, try to name it any name you wish. Don't forget to put the extension for these files .pickle at the end of the file name. Exactly as you can see, name.pickle. Separate between them using the dot notation. Don't forget that. And I'll show you all of that practically in the next lesson. So we have a lot to cover for these files practically. Let's get started to show that using practical example. Hi there, welcome to this practical lesson about working with pickle files using Python programming language. You can use only Python to work with pickle files. By using the pickle module, I'll show you in this lesson how to create a dictionary and insert it as a data inside a pickle file. I'll show you how to create a pickle file using Python programming language. Then we are gonna insert a dictionary of data inside it. We are gonna serialize the data using this pickle file, and after that we are gonna use also Python programming language to load the data from this file to deserialize the data again inside this Jupyter notebook to show the data from inside this file. You can see our first statement is import pickle to import this module, and don't forget to run this cell after typing this statement. Hit shift enter or shift return to run this cell after typing that to work with the next statement. Import pickle, the import statement followed by the name of that module, and pickle module, the pickle module from Python standard library to work with pickle files, to manage pickle files easily. Now let's move on to create a dictionary, to create an object, to serialize this object inside a pickle file after that. And after that we are gonna use also a function from this module called pickle, and this function is called dump. And this function is used to take two arguments. The first one is the dictionary that we are gonna create, and the second argument is the file object that we are gonna create. The file object, which is the pickle file with its name, which is any name you wish, and also its extension .pickle. Don't forget this extension. These arguments inside the parentheses of the open function. Let me show you that. You can see here, to write to the pickle file, we created a dictionary. This object is called ordering. This is the name of our dictionary, or the special variable that we stored this dictionary inside it. We assigned a dictionary of 3 items inside ordering, or to the ordering variable we created. Try to put any valid name, any descriptive name you wish. You can take a look inside this dictionary and you will see the first key is called first in between double quotes, and its value is an integer number data type 1, and we separate in between the items using commas. The second key is called second, and its value also is integer number, which is equal to 2, and the last one is third, string data type also, and its value is 3. All that inside curly braces. And you can see after that we used dump function, the dump function from the pickle module. Pickle.dump, we separate between them using the dot notation. The name of the module comes first, followed by the dot notation, then the function. This is a built-in function. We called it only. You don't need to construct or design it from the beginning using the def keyword or anything like that. And it has 2 arguments or 2 parameters, as you can see in between the parentheses of that function. The first one is the name of the variable or the name of the object. Ordering refers to the dictionary we created, and the second one is the open function, the key function to work with text files or any files in Python programming language. This function is so important. The open function to open or to create, in this case, this pickle file, and this pickle file, its name is called new. In this case, you can name it any name you wish, and don't forget to put the extension .pickle at the end of the file name. You can put any name you wish followed by this extension, and this is inside this current location of the Jupyter notebook, of this Jupyter notebook or this documentation. And you can put it in any location in any directory, but try to put the directory or the path before the file name first for the first argument of the open function. And the second argument for the open function in that case is WP, to write to this pickle file, to serialize this dictionary called ordering inside this pickle file. We are gonna create this file first because this file doesn't exist now, and after that we are gonna insert this ordering dictionary inside it in a binary file. This binary file is called new. This binary file is a pickle file. Now I'll show you that file after that, but try to run this cell first. Try to run it using shift enter or shift return, or you can use the run button to run the cell. Once you go to the same working directory, you will see the pickle file is created simply. The new pickle file is created, and you can see the type of that file is pkl file or pickle file. After that, if you want to read the data from inside this pickle file or manage the data or handling the data from this pickle file, you can use Python programming language only. You cannot use a notepad or anything like that to read the data from inside that file. Now I'll show you how to load the data from this pickle file again using Python programming language. It's so easy process. Also, by using the pickle module, you can use a function, you can use a built-in function, and this function is called load function to load the data of the pickle file using Python programming language, to deserialize the data again using Python, or to unpickle the data from this pickle file. And we stored this operation from the right side inside a variable called reading_pickle. Try to put a valid variable name or descriptive or meaningful variable name, any variable name you wish. Single equal sign to assign the operation of pickle.load and the open function to the left side to the variable called reading_pickle. And you can see the open function comes here. The open function with two parameters in this case, or two arguments in this case. Call that function only using its name as we did previously, and you will see the first name or the first argument is the file name from the same working directory, which is new.pickle. The first argument in that case is the file name or the pickle file, which is created previously in the same working directory. And come after that, then the mode. The mode in that case is RB, to read from this pickle file, to read the data from this pickle file called new.pickle. And the second argument in that case is very different from the first one. The first one for writing, for creating and writing, and the second one is for reading data, to deserialize the data from this pickle file using the load function with the open function. The load function from the pickle module and the open function to open and read that file. That's it. So easy and so simple. And if you want to read and open pickle file from any directory, from another directory or another location on your computer, try to put the path or the directory before the file name. Then use the mode after that, exactly as you can see. Run the cell, and after that you can use the variable name called reading_pickle to show the dictionary from inside this pickle file, to deserialize the data from this binary file easily. And you can see once you type reading_pickle and hit shift enter or shift return, or using the run button, you will see the dictionary is the output, the dictionary which was created previously. First and its value 1, second and its value 2, third and its value is 3 in that case, the whole object or the whole dictionary. You can create a tuple and use the same process. Let's summarize this process quickly again. First of all, we used the pickle module first to work with pickle files using the import statement. You must use the import statement to import this module to work with the functions of the pickle files from inside this pickle module. Pickle module has a lot of functions to work or to handle the data from inside pickle files easily, to work with these files using Python programming language. And after that, we created an object. We created in that case a dictionary, and we stored that dictionary inside a variable to use the name of that variable to access this dictionary. And the name of that variable is ordering. Try to create a list, try to create a tuple, or any data type or any data structure you wish. And after that, we used the dump function from the pickle module to serialize the data, to create this pickle file called new with the open function, and to serialize the data inside this binary file with its name, with the name we typed here, new, and try to put any name you wish. and the mode in that case for the open function for this key function is WB for writing to this file, to write to this file. And because this file doesn't exist, we created it. The Python programming language created it automatically. And after that, after creating this pickle file and serializing the data inside that file, we used the function called load from the pickle module also to load the data, to deserialize the data again using Python programming language, also with the open function. The open function for everything here, the open function, and the first argument is the file name, and don't forget to put the directory if you want to read the file or to load the data from a file from another working directory, not on the same working directory if you wish. The second argument is for reading RB, for reading data from inside that file called new. And finally, you can use the variable name. We used the variable name reading underscore pickle in that case to read from inside that file to deserialize the data and showing the data using Python code easily. And you can see the output is the object that was serialized inside this binary file called new. That's it, simply and easily, and you can do this by yourself. Thanks a lot for watching. See you again next lesson. Hi everyone, welcome to this lesson about managing JSON data files using Python programming language. This kind of files is so popular, so let's get started to talk about these files. First of all, let's talk about the meaning of the abbreviation JSON. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. Also, JSON files are faster than pickle files, which we talked about previously. Also, there are some differences between JSON files and pickle files. For example, JSON files are independent format, but pickle files are for only Python programming language. You can use pickle files using Python programming language only, but you can use JavaScript to work with JSON files. You can use Python and many languages and tools to work with JSON files. And you know, a pickle file is used Python programming language to serialize and deserialize the data from inside that file. But for JSON, you can open the JSON file using many tools, many text editors, many languages. So for a good practice, try to store your data inside a JSON file, not a pickle file. That's for more flexibility and easier than using pickle files. Let's talk about the syntax of JSON files, or the formula for data inside any JSON file. JSON files store data in key value pairs format in curly braces. So, like dictionaries in Python programming language, you must store the data inside curly braces in a JSON file. That's it about the syntax of any JSON file. To create a JSON file, any JSON file must end with the extension .json at the end of the file name, exactly as in this example. Name, the file name, try to put any name you wish, followed by the dot notation, followed by the extension that belongs to JSON files. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation, and this is the extension for any JSON file. You can create a JSON file using Notepad, using any text editor like Visual Studio Code, Atom, or any text editor, or you can use, for example, many programming languages like Python programming language to work with these files easily. That's it about this lesson. And in the next lesson, I'll show you how to work with these files easily using Python programming language by taking a simple example for these files to manage these files using Python programming language. That's it for this lesson. Thanks a lot for watching. See you again next lesson. Hi everyone, welcome to this practical lesson about working with JSON files using Python programming language. In this lesson, I'll show you how to work with JSON files using Python programming language by using the JSON module from Python libraries. So our first step in this lesson is importing the library that we need. The library called JSON. We are gonna import it first using the import statement. This JSON library from Python libraries, or this module called JSON, is used to handle JSON files or handle data from JSON files using Python programming language. And also Python has many libraries to work with JSON files. You can handle the data of JSON files using many libraries in addition to JSON library or this module called JSON. Also, I'll show you how to create a JSON file using Python programming language, and we are gonna insert data inside this file that we are gonna create. Then after that, I'll show you also how to load the data and read these data from inside the JSON file that we are gonna create simply. Let's get started after importing the JSON using import followed by the name of this library. The JSON syntax is similar to dictionary in Python programming language. So in this case, we created a dictionary, or this object that we want to insert it inside the JSON file as a JSON data. As you can see, this object is called college, and its value is many items college, and the value of this college is engineering college, and we separate between the items using commas like dictionaries. Actually, this is a dictionary. Objectives, and its value is mastering electrical and computer engineering. String data type as a value for objectives key, and another item after that, departments. This is the key, and its value is another dictionary, which is department 1, and its value electrical. The second one, department 2, and its value is computer, and this dictionary is the value of departments. And inside the college dictionary, you can see we have another item which is years, and its value in that case is a list of 4 items: year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 4, and we separate between them using commas, as you can see. And after that, after this key and its value, we inserted another key inside the college dictionary inside this JSON formula, numbers, and its value is a list. This list has 4 items of integers: 1, 2, 3, and 4, all that inside square brackets, as you can see. And after the numbers key and its value, this list, we separate between this item with the next using comma also. And the last one inside the college dictionary is ID, the ID key, and its value is another list, which is 10, 20, 30, and 40. That's it. These are our items inside the college dictionary, and we want to insert this syntax or this dictionary like JSON syntax inside a JSON file. So we need to create a JSON file with any name we want inside the same working directory or any location you wish, and we want to insert this dictionary or this syntax, this JSON syntax, inside this file, and we are gonna use functions from the module or from the library called JSON. This function is called dump. We are gonna create a JSON file, and we are gonna write to it, and we are gonna write this dictionary to it using the open function, the key function for files handling in Python programming language. So why do we use JSON.dump function or the dump function from the JSON library? This function is used to serialize this dictionary or any object inside a JSON file or using JSON files easily. If you want to serialize an object using JSON files, you can use the JSON.dump function. This function from the library called JSON will take two arguments. The first argument is the name of that object, college, and the second argument will be the open function with two arguments. The first one for the open function, the first argument for the open function will be the file name with its location, and the second argument will be the mode for writing, reading, and so on. So now let's see this in action. You can see our statement in that case, JSON.dump function, call it only without any need to design it from the beginning. This function is from the library called JSON. So put the name of the library, and if you put an alias for that library, try to put the alias before the function name dump and separate between them using the dot notation like that. The name of the library, then the dot notation, then after that the dump function, and look at the arguments of that function in between its parentheses, and you can see the first argument is college, this dictionary or this JSON syntax, and the second one is the open function, the key function for files handling in Python programming language, and it has two arguments in between the parentheses of that function. The first one is the file name, and the file name in that case is college.json. Don't forget to put the extension for these files. For the extension for any JSON file is .json at the end of the file name like that, and name it any name you wish, not only college, you can name it anything you wish. And if you want to insert or create this JSON file inside another location, instead of using the same working directory or the same location, you can put the location before the file name, and after that, after comma, you can see the mode, or the mode for this case is W for writing to this JSON file to serialize the data using the JSON file college.json using the library JSON with its function dump. The first argument for that function is the object name, and the second argument you can see is a file object called college, in that case returned by using the open function, the key function for working with files with its mode W for writing in that case. After all of that, you will see this file is created in the same working directory automatically after running these statements using shift enter or shift return, or running the cell using the run button. You will see the college.json file is created in the same working directory in the same location of the notebook managing data files. And after that, I'll show you how to use Python programming language to load the data or to read the data from this JSON file we created again. To read or to load the data from this JSON file called college, or any JSON file, not only that, you can use a function from the library called JSON, and this function is called load or JSON.load function. The module name followed by the name of that function, or the library name followed by the dot notation followed by the function name. After created the JSON file and after saved it on the disk, we want to load data from this JSON file. After saving it, we want to read the full data from this JSON file called college using the function load from the library called JSON. Let me show you that. You can see in this case we called the load function from the JSON library, JSON.load, and in between the parentheses of that calling for that function called load, we used the open function for reading the college.json file. We want to read the data again from the JSON file, and don't forget to put the extension for that file also after the file name. And if this file is inside another directory, instead of using the same working directory, try to put the location or the path or the directory before the file name. And you can see our mode here for reading is R for reading from this file called college, not W for writing, R for reading in that case. And you can see this operation, we assigned it to a variable to use the name of that variable to access the result for this operation or to access this operation. And we assign this operation to new underscore college. And due to that, you can use a variable name called new underscore college to access or to read the data from inside college.json file. This JSON file, the value of this variable is reading the text or reading the full data from inside the college.json file. Now let me show you that. Let's use this variable to read or to load the text from inside college.json file. After writing the variable name and hitting shift enter or shift return, you can see the output is all the data from inside the college.json file. You can see these data we created previously. Okay, let's summarize all what we did in this lesson quickly. In order to work with JSON files using Python programming language, we used the JSON library. So we imported it first using the import statement. The import statement to import any library. You must use it to import that library, and you can give it an alias. We imported it first, and after that we created an object to insert that object inside a JSON file. We created an object, and this object is a dictionary, and this dictionary is similar to the JSON syntax. And after that we used a function called json.dump function. We called it only using its name, and the first argument is the object name, and the second argument is the open function, the key function for working with files in Python programming language. And look inside the open function, or inside the parentheses of the open function, the file name that we want to create and save. The file name in that case college, and you can name it any name. We created that file with its extension. Don't forget to put that extension .json at the end of the file name. And the second argument for the open function is W for writing to that file, to writing the college object inside the file called college.json. After that, after running this cell, you must run this cell before the next statement, and to load the data from that file, we used the load function after created and saved data inside college.json file. We used the load function from the JSON library also, and it has an argument. That argument is the open function to open that file from the same working directory and read it using the mode R. This mode is used for reading text or reading data from inside the file called college, or any file you created or any JSON file you created. You can create any file instead of that file. And after that, after assigning this operation to a variable called new college to access or to read the data from inside that file, that college file, using the load function, we used the variable name refers to the load function. This variable name that we stored the load function inside it, we used it to read that text or to read this JSON data exactly as follows. That's all for this lesson. Try to do this by yourself, and if you need any help, please ask me and I'll answer you as soon as possible. Thanks a lot for watching. See you again next lesson. Hi everyone, welcome to this lesson. Welcome to the theoretical lesson for the section of managing PDF files using the Python programming language. In this section, I will show you how to manage PDF files using the Python programming language. We are gonna use a module or a library called PyPDF2 from the Python programming language. We are gonna install and import it. Then we are gonna use it to manage PDF files easily using the Python code. First of all, let's define the PDF file. PDF stands for Portable Document Format. This is the abbreviation of Portable Document Format. That's it simply. Also, you know that any PDF file ends with the extension of .pdf. Like this example here, the name of the file, name followed by .pdf. This is about the extension for PDF files. And to work with the PDF files in Python programming language to manage or modify PDF files, we are gonna use PyPDF2 library. This library is built as a PDF toolkit in Python programming language to extract document information and also split and merge documents page by page. Also, if you want to group pages and merge multiple pages into a single page, you can use this library. And another useful point is you can use this library, PyPDF2 library, to encrypt and decrypt PDF files and many more. And to install this package in Python programming language, you can use the pip package. You can use pip install PyPDF2 statement to install this package called PyPDF2. And after that, you can import it to work with PDF files in Python programming language easily without any problems. Just type pip install PyPDF2 in the console or the terminal or the command prompt or the Anaconda prompt to install this package simply. Or you can use this command to install PyPDF2 inside the Jupyter notebook, exactly as we are gonna do. And after installing this library using the pip package, you can import it using the import statement simply using this command or this statement import PyPDF2 simply. And after this line, you can use any function from this library or anything or any command from this library simply. You can work with the PDF files using this library after import PyPDF2. You must import it first at the beginning of the notebook, as we are gonna do also in the next lesson. You can create PDF reader program using this library simply using the Python programming language. In the next lesson, I will show you how to read PDF files using this library simply. So we have a lot to cover in this section for this library called PyPDF2. Let's move on to talk about this library practically. Let's see this in action. Hello, welcome to this practical lesson about managing PDF files in Python programming language. You must install the PyPDF2 library first using the pip package, exactly using this code here or this command. Pip install PyPDF2, then hit shift enter or run this cell to install it. In this case, I already installed it in my device. So once you type pip install PyPDF2, you will see collecting PyPDF2, then downloading PyPDF2, and finally you will see successfully installed PyPDF2. That's it. So make sure to install it first using the pip package. After that, you can import it using the import statement. As we said previously, use the reserved keyword import or the import statement to import this library. Type import followed by the name of that library. In this case, the name of that library is PyPDF2. And after this, you can install it. You can collect or you can use anything from this library or this package simply without any problem. Next, we are gonna create a PDF file object. We are gonna use the open function, the open built-in function, to open the PDF file with the mode RB to read this file, to read this PDF file in the same directory of this notebook. Let's see this. The most important function for files handling in Python programming language is the open built-in function. You need to call it only using the open statement or its name. You don't need to construct this function from the beginning. Type the name of the function, and in between the parentheses of that function put the first argument, which is the file name with its extension, like in this case intro.pdf. Don't forget to put the extension for this PDF file, and this PDF file in the same directory, in the same location of this notebook. And if you want to put it or read a PDF file from another directory, put the location before the file name. And after that, the second argument for the open function in that case is RB, the mode for reading this PDF file. This is about file object creation. We assign this open function to a variable to use this process using the variable name, to use this process of opening this file and reading it using or through this variable name called new PDF, and you can name it any valid name you wish. After that, we are gonna use the PyPDF2 library, and we are gonna use a function from inside this library called PDF file reader to read this file called intro PDF. This is about PDF reader object also. Let's see this in action. After opening the PDF file and reading it, try to create another variable. In this case, we created another variable called reading PDF, and we assigned PyPDF2.pdf file reader. This is a built-in function. We called it using its name and the dot notation between the PyPDF2, the name of the module or the name of this library, and its function to access this function from this library. And also you can see the name of the variable new PDF in between the parentheses of the PDF file reader function. This is the argument for this function to read the PDF file called intro.pdf from the open function, from the parentheses of the open function that we assigned it to the new PDF variable. This is about PDF reader object. You can create another variable instead of reading PDF, but use PyPDF2 like this case, and use also the function called PDF file reader to read the PDF file called intro or any PDF file you created in the same directory to read it simply. And for the PDF file reader function, there is an attribute called numPages. We are gonna use this attribute to display the number of pages for this PDF file, and we are gonna use the print statement or the print function to print out the result. Just call the print statement or the print function using its name, print, and in between its parentheses there is a single argument in this case, or a single parameter, which is reading PDF, the name of the variable that contains PDF file reader function process, and also the attribute numPages refers to the PDF file reader function. This attribute is to display the number of pages for the PDF file called intro in this case, or any PDF file you use in your example. After that, we need to use the getPage function from this library called PyPDF2 to create a page object to get any page using its number, using its index number in between the parentheses of that function. Let me show you that in action. In this case, you can see we used reading PDF, the variable for PDF reader object that contains or that assigned to PyPDF2 PDF file reader function for the new PDF variable, and we used getPage function. This function we called it using its name and the dot notation in between the variable name reading PDF and the function name getPage. And the first page inside the PDF file called intro has the index 0 in that case. If you want to display the first page, put 0. The second page is 1, the third page is 2, and so on. Don't forget that. The first page has the index 0. So put 0 in between the parentheses of the getPage function to get that page, to get the first page. And we created this page object using a variable called PDF page, and we assign this process reading PDF.getPage for 0 to this variable simply. After that, you need to use the extract text function from the library called PyPDF2 to extract all the text from the page, from the first page that has the index 0. Let me show you that. The variable name that we assigned reading PDF.getPage to it, which is PDF page, followed by the dot notation, followed by the calling of the function extract text. We call this function using its name followed by an empty parenthesis, and this is as an argument for the print function to print out this text from inside the page that we put its index. The first page, PDF_page, the variable name followed by the dot notation followed by the extract text function to extract all the text from the page. That's it simply. The final step, you need to use the close function to close the PDF file object after all this process. This is the last statement in our program. We call the close function from the Python library to close the PDF file called intro in this case, or any PDF file you use. And the variable name, you can see new PDF, that we assigned the open function for intro PDF file to it. We used it to close the intro PDF file simply, and the empty parenthesis after the close function. That's it simply, and the dot notation in between the function called the close and the variable name. After that, you can hit Shift Enter or Shift Return to show the output, or run this cell from hitting the run button from the top side. And once you run the program, you will see the output. You will see the number of pages first. In this case, our intro PDF file has only a single page followed by the text. We used the extract text function to get all the information from the page that has the index 0, and this PDF file only has a single page, and you can read any PDF file using the same method. First of all, you must install the library called PyPDF2 to work with the PDF files using the pip package, and after that you can import it. Then you can use the open function to open the PDF file reader, and make sure to put the PDF file in the same location, or you can put the location before the PDF file name, and after that you can use the PDF file reader function from the library called PyPDF2. Then you can print the number of pages, and you can get any page. And if you want to get any page from the PDF file, use the get page function and put the number for that page in between the parentheses of the get page function. But in this case, it starts counting from 0. The first page has the index 0, the second page has the index 1, and so on. After that, you can call the extract text function from the PyPDF2 library to extract all the text or to extract all the information from inside the page that you want to read, and the print function to print out the output on the screen. And after that you can close the file. It's best practicing to close the file using the close function. Call the close function with the variable name for the open function, like that, like this example simply. Thanks a lot for watching. See you again next lesson. Hi everyone. In this lesson I will show you how to use object-oriented programming concepts to store employees' data using a simple class, using a simple template. You know, a class in Python programming language or in any programming language in general for object-oriented concepts is a blueprint for creating objects. Just a blueprint or the main template for creating many instances or objects. And in this section I will show you how to create a class, main class called employee, and this class will be the main template, and after that we are gonna create many instances based on this template, based on this main template simply. The first thing that we are gonna do in the next lesson is creating a class using the class keyword, and after that the name of that class, which is employee, and this will be the main template or the constructor for creating objects. After that, object for each employee. We are gonna create many instances or objects from that main template we created, from the class we created called employee. For each employee we are gonna create an object for each employee. Let me show you that practically to clarify that. Welcome to this practical lesson about storing employees' data using object-oriented concepts by using class. First of all, we need to create a class, as you can see, and this class is called employee. We define that class using the class keyword, using this reserved keyword from Python library. The class keyword is used to define any class in Python, and this is the main template for creating objects. After that you can create many instances based on that class, and at the end of this header, this class header, you can see a colon. After that you can hit enter or return, and you will start the body of that class, the indented body, by forward spaces automatically. And inside the body of that class you will see an attribute called count to start counting from 0 for employees. Set count is equal to 0. This is called an attribute, a variable inside the class called employee, as you can see. After that, let's set the init function. The init function or the init method inside the class, any function inside a class is called a method. The goal of using the init function is to initialize the object state, and this method is like a constructor, and the task of using the init function is to initialize or to assign values to data members of that class, and these data members are objects from that class or instances which we are gonna create based on that class called employee in that case. Let's create the init function. Inside the indented body of that class called employee, define this method called init using the def keyword. And you can take a look at the header of that function. You will see the self parameter comes first, then name, then position, and salary. The self parameter. Let's talk about the self parameter first. This self parameter is used to represent the instance of the class. And by using this parameter or this keyword inside the parentheses of the init function, you can access the attributes or variables and methods of that class called employee using Python programming language. Actually, this self parameter is used to bind the attributes or variables with the given arguments. So you need to use this self parameter, and you can name it any name you wish instead of self, but self is the most common, self is the most popular name for that parameter. Why we use that parameter in Python programming language called self? We use that self parameter in Python programming language, or that self keyword, because Python programming language doesn't use the @ syntax to refer to instance attributes. That is the reason of using the self parameter. And as we said beforehand, you can name it any name instead of self if you wish, but self is the most popular. After that, you can see the next argument or the next parameter is name, then position, then salary, and you can set many parameters as you wish. Inside the init function, we inserted 4 variables as you can see, or 4 instance attributes. Self.name is equal to name, self.position is equal to position, and the self parameter is used to access these attributes or these instance attributes from inside the init function, from inside the employee class. Then self.salary is equal to salary to access the salary attribute. And after that, you will see the incrementation for employees. You have to put this in this incrementation for employees: 0, then 1, then 2, and so on. Employee.count plus equals 1. This is about incrementation for increasing the counting of employees by 1. The next step that we are gonna do is creating a method inside the employee class to display the number of employees, the count of employees that we are gonna use in this example. So let's create this method inside the same level of the init function inside the body of the class called employee. Also, that function that we created called display count function, we defined it using the def keyword, the reserved keyword, to declare any function in Python programming language, a user-defined function, but that function inside the body of that class, so that function is called a method. This method is called display count, and it has also self-parameter to access the attributes or the instance attributes for that method. And you can take a look inside that function or inside that method. You will see inside the body of that method, we used the print function by calling it. The print function is a built-in function to display any text, to print out a text or to print out a result for any operation on the screen. The print function is used to display there are employees. The count of employees will be inserted in the position of %d. We used the string formatting command inside the print function here. The modulo d or the %d or the reminder d is used for numbers, and you can use modulo s, for example, for strings and so on. And to insert the count of employees inside this position or in this position inside that string data type, we used modulo employee.count after that string data type in between double quotes. After these double quotes, you will see reminder employee.count to insert the count of employees that we are gonna use in this example in the position of reminder d in the string data type. There are the number of employees. We need to create another method inside that employee class, and this method is to display the details for each employee like name, position, and salary. And we are gonna use that method by calling it using objects after creating that template. You can see that method here. This method is called display details. We defined it. We declared it using the def keyword also. And also don't forget to put the self parameter to access the attributes or the instance attributes. And inside that body of that function called display details or that method, we used the print function to display name and self.name, the value of name here, then position and the value of position using self.position, and the last one salary, then self.salary to display the salary that we are gonna insert. By using objects after creating that class, we are gonna insert different values for different employee. We are gonna create 4 objects or 4 instances based on that template or that employee class. For each employee, we are gonna insert a name, a position, and a salary. Let me show you that. Let's create objects based on the employee class. We have 4 objects, as you can see. The first one is emp1 or employee 1, and the value for that object is the calling of the class called employee. And based on that class, we insert a value for name, employee 1, and we insert a value also for position, HR for employee 1, and at the end we inserted salary for employee 1, as you can see simply. And we did the same thing for employee 2. emp2 is equal to employee, the main template, the class, and for name we inserted employee 2, for position we inserted manager, and we inserted a salary for that manager. And after that you will see employee 3, another object, the third object here, and the value for that object employee, and the name for that employee is employee 3, and its position is programmer, and we inserted a salary for that programmer. And we created an object also for the last one, and this object is called emp4 or employee 4, and the value for that employee is the calling of the class. This object also based on the class called employee, and the name for that employee is employee 4, and the position is engineer, and we inserted a salary for that engineer. And you can create as many objects as you wish, not only 4. You can create for many employees using the same concept. And you can create many parameters, not only name, position, and salary. You can create, for example, a parameter called ID and many more. To display the count of these employees or to display the number of these employees, you can use the function called display count. And we are gonna use employee 4 with that function, with the calling of that function called display count, to display the number of employees, because this is the last employee here, and the number of employees or the count of employees is equal to 4. Let's call that function with employee 4 or the last object called emp4. You can see our last employee 4, followed by the dot notation, followed by the calling of the display count function or the display count method. And don't forget to insert an empty braces or an empty parenthesis. After that, to display the values or to display the details for each employee, use the object for each employee with the calling of the display details function or the display details method from inside the employee class. Let's do that for all the employees here. You can see here, first of all, we used the print function to display a text before the calling, before the values for employee 1, employee 2, employee 3, and employee 4. This text using the print function is information about employee. And after that, you can see the object name emp4, followed by the dot notation, followed by the name of that method called display details method, the calling of that function or that method based on the employee class. We call that method here called display details to display the data for employee 1. And the data for employee 1 will be name, then employee 1, position, and HR, then salary, and the salary for that employee 1. And we did the same thing for employee 2, for employee 3, and for employee 4. For employee 2, you will see name, then employee 2, position, then manager, salary, and the salary for that manager or that employee 2. For employee 3, by using the object name followed by the dot notation followed by the calling of the display details function, you will see the text from inside that function, name, then employee 3, due to calling that function with new values using emp3 object. After that, position, then programmer, and salary, and the salary for employee 3, and the same sequence for employee 4. You will see name, then the name for employee 4, which is employee 4, position, engineer, and the salary for that engineer or for employee 4. That's it simply. Now let's hit shift enter or shift return to show the output. You can see the output here. The first output is the count of employees using the calling of display count method by using the class called employee with the object called emp4. We created that instance emp4 based on the class called employee, and we call that function or that method from that class to display the count of employees, which is there are 4 employees in the output, as you can see. After that, the print function printed information about employee, the text before values we talked about previously, the output for emp1.display details, the name of that object, followed by the dot notation, followed by the display details function, the calling of that function, and the same thing for employee 2, for employee 3, and the last one for employee 4. That's it. So simple and so easy, as you can see. Let's summarize all what we did in this lesson quickly. First of all, we created a class, and inside that class, inside the indented body of that class, we created the init function or the init method. Any function inside a class is called a method, and this function is used to initialize the object state, as we said previously. And inside the body of that function, you will see self.name is equal to name, self.position is equal to position, self.salary is equal to salary, and to increase the count, to display the count for employees, and we start counting from 0 previously before the init function. We used this incrementation here inside the body of that constructor called init. And don't forget to use the self parameter in Python programming language in that class, because Python programming language doesn't use the syntax to refer to instance attributes. So if you want to refer to instance attributes, you have to use the self parameter. After that, and inside the body of that class, we created a method called display count to display the count for employees by using the string formatting technique to display the RAR and the number of employees. And that counting or that number will be inserted inside the position or in the position of reminder div. This is for numbers in string formatting technique. After that, we created another method to display the details for each employee, and the print function inside that method to display name, then self.name to access the attribute or the instance attributes to refer to instance attributes once you create an object. After that, after creating that class, once you create an object based on that class, name, then the value of name, position, then the value of position, then the last one salary and the value of salary, and we created 4 objects based on the same class called employee. From emp1 to emp4 we have 4 objects here, 4 employees, so the count for these employees is equal to 4, and by using these objects we inserted values or data for each employee, for name, for position, and salary for each employee from employee 1 to employee 4, and we called a method called display details with each object based on the class called employee to display data for each employee, to display the details for each employee from employee 1 to employee 4 simply, and you can see the output. That's it. So simple and so easy. Try to do this by yourself. Try to create more than 4 employees, and also try to create many parameters, not only name, position, and salary. You can create many parameters and you can insert values for these parameters. And if you need any help, please ask me and I'll answer you as soon as possible. Thanks a lot for watching. See you again next lesson. Building digital clock using Python programming language. Hi everyone, welcome to this lesson. In this lesson you will learn how to create digital clock in Python programming language using the Python code and using libraries such as the time module or the time library, and also a library for graphical user interface applications called Tkinter library. Let's get started to discuss this theoretically first. For creating digital clock using Python programming language and for displaying the current date and time, we need to use the time module first. So we are gonna import a function from that module only. That function is called strftime to display or to represent the current date and time using the time module to display the current date in our digital clock. So we are gonna use that statement first. From time import strftime, the from keyword followed by the name of that module or that library called time, followed by the import statement, and after the import statement the name of our function to display the current time inside our digital clock window. And this function, the name of our function here is called strftime, this function from the time module. After that we need to use the Tkinter library. We are gonna use the Tkinter library to create our widgets and to create the graphical user interface application. Simply, Tkinter is a Python binding to the TKGUI toolkit or the graphical user interface toolkit. And we are gonna use a function called label to create a widget that is used to implement display boxes where you can place text or images in our window. We are gonna create our digital clock window using the TK function. The TK function is used to create a displayed window. So from Tkinter we are gonna import label, then TK to use the label function to create a widget, and also to use the TK before the label function to create our empty window. We need to create a window first, then we are gonna use the label function to create widgets for fonts, colors, and so on, and we are gonna also use a function after that to display the current date and time, and we are gonna insert the strftime function inside the function we are gonna create to display that current date and time inside that widget inside the window that we are gonna create. So let's see this in action to make everything clear to understand. Thanks a lot for watching. See you again next lesson. Hi everyone, welcome to this lesson. In this lesson I will show you how to create digital clock in Python programming language using a library called Tkinter with the time module from Python libraries. Let's get started. At the beginning, if you are using another operating system or any IDE or any text editor, you may need to install the Tkinter library first. But I recommend using the Jupyter Notebook exactly as you can see here, to follow this course without any problems, without any errors. First of all, you need to import two modules or two libraries from Python libraries to work with digital clock, to create digital clock. First of all, you can see we imported the time module, but we imported only a function from that time module, the function we need. This function is strftime. You don't need to import the whole module. Just import that function from that module, and this function or this method called strftime is used to return a string representing date and time, the current date and the current time also. Also after that you need to import the Tkinter library, but only two functions from that library. We need to import two functions, label and TK, from that library called Tkinter. The Tkinter library is a Python library to create graphical user interface applications simply. What is the label function from that library? The label function simply is used to specify the container box where we can place the text we want or images inside the window we are gonna create. Also, why do we use the check function? What is that function? We need to import the check function here to create the main window for our digital clock using the checkenter library. That function is used to create the main window. Now, let's create our window and we are gonna configure that window also with functions, and we are gonna discuss these functions. By using these methods, we created our empty window here for the digital clock. You can see the check function to create an empty window first, and we stored that function inside a variable called window. Try to put any descriptive name. You can rename that window with any name you wish instead of window. tk, we call that function with an empty parenthesis, and we assign it to the variable called window. After that, we used the title function to insert a title for that window. You can insert any title. I'll leave out that title. I'll leave out that title here. This is an empty title. You can name it any name. Try to put digital clock as a title or anything you wish. For that window, we used the name of the variable followed by the dot notation followed by the function called title, and this function is used to insert a title for that empty window. After that, you can see the geometry function, and this function is used to specify the dimension of that empty window, of the displayed window that we are gonna create. And you can see the geometry or the dimension for that window is 200 times 80 in between double quotes inside the parentheses of that function. This dimension as an argument for the geometry function, and we placed that function, we placed the calling of that function after the dot notation after the variable name called window refers to the tk function for an empty window for the digital clock. After that, we configured the background color. The background color for that digital clock or that window is black using the configure function. Call it also using the variable name window followed by the dot notation followed by the calling of that function called configure, and that function is used to configure the background color. In that case, in between the parentheses of that function, the background is black. You can place red, and I'll show you that later, and you can place any color you wish. And there are many colors provided by the checkenter library, and you can see all of them in the checkenter official website. After that, you will see we used the resizable function to make our window not resizable. You cannot resize that window for the two dimensions, false and false. To make the window of our digital clock not resizable, that's it simply. The name of the variable also window refers to our window for the digital clock followed by the dot notation followed by the calling of that function called resizable, and the two arguments false then false. We separate between them using comma, as you can see. After that, let's use the label function. Let's use the checkenter label widget using the label function from the checkenter library to implement display boxes inside our window, where you can place text or images as we said beforehand. You can see we used the label method and we assigned it to a variable, and this variable is called clock label. You can name it any name you wish. You can name that variable any meaningful name you wish. And look inside the parentheses or the braces of the label function. You will see the first argument is our window, is our empty window that we want to insert widgets inside it or text or images inside that window. The background is equal to black. This is the second argument inside the label function. The third one is foreground. Fg is equal to white. The foreground color is equal to white. As you can see, you can use any valid color inside the checkenter or any valid color from the checkenter library. The next argument is font, as you can see, and the value of font or the details for that font is the font family is equal to times, the font size is equal to 30, and the font type is equal to bold. You can change these values as you wish. And you can see the last argument inside the parentheses of the label function. The last one is called relief. What is the relief argument? This relief argument or this option is used to specify appearance of a decorative border around the label we created. The default value for this option is flat, but try to put it relief is equal to flat. After that, you can see a function called place. The name of the variable refers to the label function. This variable for the label function, we assign the label function to it, followed by the dot notation, followed by the calling of the place function or the place method from the checkenter library. We call that function to set the position of our window. This function allows you to set the position and size of a window. We call the place function, and inside the parentheses of that place function you can see the arguments. We have two arguments here for x and y. The position for x is equal to 20, and the value of y also is equal to 20. This is to set the position of our window. We used that label function from the checkenter library here to place our time information and details here. Now we need a function. We need to design a function to update the value on that label we created every 80 milliseconds. Let me show you that. By using the def keyword, we design that function. We declare that function called updating label to update that label or to update our clock. Current time is equal to strftime function. That function we talked about previously. We imported it first from the time module to display or to represent the current date and time using hours, minutes, then seconds, using that format in between the parentheses of the calling of that function. You can see modulo h for hours, modulo m for minutes, modulo s for seconds. That's it. We assign that value, or we assign the calling of that function to a variable called current time to display the current time. After that, you can see we used clock label. The clock label refers to the label function to configure the text to display the current time. To display the current time in the text format we configured previously using the label function. That's it. By using this statement, clock label.configure text is equal to current time, we are gonna display the current time in our window, in our empty window for our clock. Also using our widget we created using the label function or the label method from the checkenter library. That's it. And after that, clock label, this variable dot after to update the value on the label every 80 milliseconds using two arguments for that function, for after function. The two arguments for the after function are 80, this is the first one, 80 milliseconds, and the second one is the name of our function updating label. And the goal of using the after function here or the after method is to update the value of the current time on the label after every 80 milliseconds. That's it simply. To execute this program, you need to call two functions. The first one is called updating label. You have to call this function to make it works. And the second one is from the checkenter library, and that function is called main loop. We are gonna be using the main loop function at the end of our program to prevent the displayed window from exiting immediately. This is the using of that function. Let me show you that. Let's call the two functions. You can see here at the end of our program we call the updating label function to display our current time, and also we call the main loop function for our window to prevent that window we created here from exiting immediately. That's it simply. Now we need to run that program using Shift Enter or Shift Return, or you can use the run button. You can use the run button to show the output, to show our digital clock, to display the current time simply. After running our program and waiting a little bit of time, you will see our clock, our digital clock here to display the current date and time simply. That's it, easily. You can do this by yourself, and also you can change the values here from that program. You can change the color, you can change the size, the font, and so on. Now it's time to summarize all what we did in this lesson. We imported two libraries first, two modules. The time module, we imported only a function from inside it, the strftime. This function is used to represent the current date and time. Also, we used the checkenter library, we imported it, and we imported only two functions from it, the label function and the checky function. We used the checky function to create our empty window simply. We assign that function to a variable, and you can name that variable any name you wish. And after that, you can insert a title. We inserted an empty title using the title function for our window. After that, the geometry for our dimension, for the dimension of the window we created. You can see the background is red using the configure function. Also, after that, our window is not resizable, so we used false and false as an arguments for that function called resizable. After that, our widget using the label function. We created our widget using that label function for our window. You can see the background color is equal to red. You can put black, you can put any color, any valid color from the checkenter library instead of using red, and the foreground color is equal to white. The font family is Times, and the font size is equal to 30. You can change the font size if you wish, and the font type is bold, as you can see. Relief is equal to flat, and the default value for relief is flat. And we created a function after that to update the current time using the strftime function, and to update the time after 80 milliseconds for our current time, and the configure function to insert the current time using the widget for clock label, refers to the label method. That's it simply. The after function, you can see, has two parameters or arguments, 80 milliseconds, and the second one updating label, our function name. We used 80 milliseconds in that case as a parameter or as an argument for the after function, because according to research, human brain can only process 12 separate images per second. Anything more than that, it will be perceived as a single picture. And simply, this is what causes the illusion of motion. That's it simply. 80 milliseconds, then the name of the function. The second argument is the name of our function for our digital clock here. And after that, you can see we call the two function. We call the two function updating label function. You must invoke that function, or you must call that function to make it works. And the last one is the main loop function. Also, you must use that function. This is so important. The main loop function or the main loop method is used when your application is ready to run. That's it simply. Or you can say that the main loop function is an infinite loop, and simply that function is used in this case to prevent the displayed window or the digital clock window from exiting immediately. This is the using of the main loop function in this example here. And after that, we executed that program by hitting Shift Enter or Shift Return to show the output, and the output is our digital clock simply to display the current date and time. That's all for this lesson about creating digital clock to display the current date and time in Python programming language. Thanks a lot for watching. See you again next lesson. Hi everyone. In this section, we will be creating a guessing numbers game, and that game based on 3 levels: easy, medium, and hard. In the practical lesson, we are gonna create main function for guessing numbers. Also, we are gonna create a function after that for the easy level, for the medium level, and a function for the hard level. Also, try again function, and after that we are gonna create a function called welcome for welcoming the user. And the result for this guessing numbers game based on the input that the user will set. First of all, the user will type easy or medium or hard, and after that the user will insert his guess. Now let me show you all of that practically to clarify that, to see this in action, to make it understandable for everyone, and to see the full program, to see how to code that program with the 3 levels. Hi everyone, welcome to this lesson. In this lesson, I'll show you how to create a simple guessing numbers game to guess a number by using levels easy, medium, and hard. Let me show you that. First of all, you need to import the random module to generate random numbers to use functions from that module. Just type that statement exactly as you can see, the import statement followed by the name of that module, which is random, to use the random functions from that module. And after that, I will show you how to create a function for guessing game with 2 arguments, the guess limit and the number. By using the def keyword from Python library, you can define a function, and we define that function, we declared that function, and its name is guessing game. You can name it any name you wish, and it has 2 parameters or 2 arguments. In that case, the guess limit, you can name it any name also you wish, and the number. Number is the second argument here. We separate between them using comma, as you can see. All that inside the parentheses of the function in the function header, and colon at the end of that function header, so you can hit enter after that colon or return to start the body of that function, and the body is an indented body by using 4 white spaces. Inside the body of that function, I'll create a variable, and that variable is called random number, and we are gonna generate random integer number using random.randint, using that function from the random module. Let me show you that. I'll show you how to use that function by calling it with 2 arguments. The 2 arguments for the randint function from the random module will be start and end. The starting point will be 1 in our case, and the end number will be number. The second argument will be the number or the number parameter that we are gonna insert once we call that guessing name number, and I'll show you that. That's our main function here, the guessing game function. We inserted the body of that function. First of all, we declared a variable called random number, and we used the randint function. You can see we called that function without any need to design it from the beginning, just use it by calling it from the random module. So you must import the random module first before that program. Random followed by the dot notation followed by randint to insert or to generate random integer number, and the first parameter is 1, or the first argument is 1 for that function, and the second parameter or the second argument will be the number that we are gonna pass inside that function based on the level that we are gonna insert, easy, medium, or hard. After that, you will see the try and except block. the program will execute the try block, and if there is an error inside the try block, the program will execute the except block to raise value error, to print out only integers are allowed here. That's it. You can see the try block. Inside the try block, we inserted a while loop for the guess limit. If that guess limit, while that guess limit is greater than 0, guess is equal to the input function to take an input from the user, and the prompt string here is what is your guess. That's to take an input from the user, and the user will see that string data type here. And the int function outside the input function to change the string data type to integer number data type, to convert the string value or the prompt string to integer number data type. After that, guess limit minus equals 1. That decremental statement here, guess limit minus equals 1, to decrease 1 after inserting a guess by the user. So our guess limit decreased by 1 in that case. After that, you will see a conditional if statement. The conditional if statement, if random number is equal to the guess, the program will print out congratulations, you got it right. The print function will print out this string data type on the screen and will break using the break statement. Will stop our program after that using the break statement. If the previous condition is false, if the guess number is greater than the number that will be passed into the function, the guessing function, the program will print out your guess is out of range. And also the program will print out you have and the number of guess limit using this string formatting technique here. This is a placeholder inside curly braces. Simply the guessing limit number will be inserted after the have keyword and before guesses left string data type also. Else, if all the previous conditions are false, the program will print out sorry, that was wrong. And also it will print out you have guess limit, guesses left. The guess limit also will be inserted in the position here instead of the curly braces and the guess limit. We use that placeholder to insert the guess limit number in that position. After that, the print statement inside the try block will print out game over after executing the while loop, after executing what is inside the while loop totally. And the print statement also, the print function by calling it will print out the random number was and the random number that was generated. That's it, simply. Otherwise, if there is an error here inside the try block, if the program raise an error, the program will give you or will raise value error, the value error exception, and will print out only integers are allowed if you try to insert string data type or any invalid data type instead of integers. That's it, simply about that program here you can see. Now, to make that function guessing number works, you must call it. You must call it with values for the guess limit parameter and also a value for number to be passed into the function body, and the program will execute that function. Now we are gonna call that function 3 times by levels. We are gonna create a function for easy level and a function for medium level and also a function for the hard level with different values for the guess limit and also number for the guess limit parameter and also for the number parameter. Let me show you that. Let's create these 3 functions: easy, medium and hard. Here is the first function for the first level of guessing. We define that function using the def keyword from Python library. This is a reserved Python keyword, to define a function. and that function is called easy with an empty parenthesis. And inside that function, the string data type print, you are to guess a number between 1 and 10, and you have 6 guesses here. That's it. The value of guess limit for the guessing game by calling it inside that function is equal to 6, and the value for number is equal to 10. And you know, inside the guessing game function previously, the randint function, the program will generate random integer number between 1 and number. This number is 10 in that case, and the guess limit is equal to 6. That's inside the easy function. As you can see, that's it simply. The program will display you are to guess a number between 1 and 10 after inserting easy, and we call that function guessing game here to generate random integer number between 1 and 10, and the guess limit in that case is equal to 6 guesses. And you can see inside the try block, after inserting the first guess limit, the program will decrease these limits to 5, and after inserting another one, the program will decrease the limit to 4, and so on. Now let's design another function for the other level called medium. You can see our medium function here. We declared that function using the def keyword. We define that function with the def keyword followed by the name of that function, which is def with an empty parenthesis. This is the function header. And look at inside that function. Look inside that function, you will see the print function to print out you are to guess a number between 1 and 20 in that case, and you have 4 guesses. And you can see we call that function called guessing game function our main function in this program, and the value of guess limit is 4 guess limits only for the medium level, and the value of number parameter that will be passed into the function body is equal to 20 in this case, 20. So the program will generate random integer numbers from 1 to 20. And the guess limits after the first guessing will be decreased by 1 by using guess limit minus equals 1. You know that. And if that random integer number is equal to the person guess, the program will print out congrats, you got it right, and the program will break after that immediately. Else, if that guess is greater than the number is greater than 20, in that case the program will print out your guess is out of range, and the print function will print out you have and the number of guesses left. And if all the previous conditions are false, the program will print out sorry, that was wrong, and the program will print out also you have and the number of guesses left. And after that, after all of that, at the end the program will print out game over, and the random number was and the random integer number here for our example once you use the medium level. Our last level here for that example is hard. Let's design a function for the hard level. For the third level, we designed a function called hard. As you can see, we define that function using the def keyword with an empty parenthesis, no parameters for that function also. And look inside that function, you will see the print function to print out you are to guess a number between 1 and 50 in that case, and you have 3 guesses. And we called the main function called guessing game function here. The value of guess limit in that case is equal to 3. So after the first trial, the program will decrease these trials to 2 instead of 3, and so on. And the value of number is equal to 50 in that case. That's it. simply. So for the hard level, the guess should be between 1 and 50. After all of that, we need to design a function for try again. Let me show you that. Here is the try again function after completing the limits. After completing the limits, you will see that try again. And due to using that try again function here, due to designing that function using the def keyword, we define that function, we initialize that function using the def keyword. You will see again is equal to input to take an input from a user after completing guesses. Do you want to play again? You can type yes or not. You will see the program will print out that string data type for the user. And we used the conditional if statement in that case to make decisions for a user. If the user insert yes in uppercase, the program will execute the welcome function. The welcome function to execute our program again. And you will see the welcome function here. The welcome function, look inside the body of the welcome function, the program will print out welcome to the guessing game first. And the program, in that case, we used a variable to take an input from a user with an input function. This input function to take an input from a user, and the user will see, choose your level between easy, medium and hard. The user will see the string data type before starting the game. If the user insert easy in uppercase, the program will execute the easy function, and after that the program will execute the try again function to make a user insert yes, no in uppercase, yes to execute the game again, and no to print out thanks for playing. And if all the previous conditions for the try again function are false, the program will print out wrong input and will execute the try again function again to insert yes or no or wrong input again. Let's complete talking about the medium function. If the program or if the user try to insert the medium string data type, the program will execute the medium function, and the program will execute your R to guess a number between 1 and 20, and you have 4 guesses in that case, and the guess limit, the value of guess limit is equal to 4, and the value of number is equal to 20, and the program or the random number between 1 and 20 in that case. If for another condition, if the user try to insert the hard in uppercase, you should insert that in uppercase. If the user insert hard in uppercase, the program will execute the hard function because of calling that function here inside the body of the elif difficulty dot upper, the calling of the upper function is equal to hard. The program will execute the hard function, and after that, if the previous conditions or if the limits are finished or if the program is completed, you will see the program will call the try again function to hit yes or no, to complete again or no, or to print out wrong input if there is any wrong inside our program or there is an error for that function or that program. And the else statement at the end of the welcome function to print out this is wrong input. And also if all the previous conditions are false, the program will execute this statement here to print out the string data type, this is wrong input, and the program will execute the welcome function again to show welcome to the guessing game, and will take the level from a user, easy or medium or hard, type it in uppercase. Now let me run that program or execute that program here by hitting shift enter or shift return or using the run button, and you will see the output simply. That's it. You need to call the welcome function first before running the program to make it works, and hit shift enter or shift return, and you will see the output. You can type the level and your guess and so on, as you can see, simply as we talked about previously. That's all for this lesson. Try to do this by yourself, and if you need any help, please ask me and I'll answer you as soon as possible. Thanks a lot for watching. See you again next lesson. Creating music player or audio player using Python programming language. Hi everyone, welcome to this lesson. In this section I will show you two applications. I will show you how to create an audio loader using the Pygame library, and also I will show you how to build an audio player or music player using the Pygame library with the Tkinter library from Python libraries. To create full audio player, you need to use the Tkinter library to create and develop the graphical user interfaces for that application. So you need to import it first using the import statement, and I'll show you that practically. I'll show you how to use the functions of the Tkinter library first by using the from keyword with the import statement to import only functions from that library, and after that I will show you how to use these functions to create the music player window, buttons, widgets, and many more. I will show you all of that practically. And for loading, pausing, stopping our audio file, we need to use another module or another library with that library. This library is called Pygame. So what is that library? Simply, the Pygame library is used to write video games, and also it includes computer graphics and sound libraries designed to be used with Python programming language. You can use that library for loading, playing, stopping, and many more for audio files also. And I'll show you how to use that library with the Tkinter library to create full audio player or full music player simply without any complication. So we have a lot to cover in this section. Let's see this in action. Hi everyone, welcome to this lesson. In this lesson, we're gonna be discussing how to use the Pygame library from Python libraries to create a player for an audio file. We will be using the Pygame library from Python libraries to load, play, and stop an MP3 file. Let me show you that practically. First of all, to use the Pygame library, you must install it first. And as you can see, we used the pip package to install it inside the Jupyter notebook. And you can see pip install Pygame, this command, and after that run that cell to install that library called Pygame. And Python programming language start collecting Pygame, downloading and installing this library called Pygame. And simply you can use that library called Pygame library to load, play, pause, and stop the music for an audio file. After installing that library here, after successfully installing that library called Pygame using this command pip install Pygame, let's import it. We will be importing Mixer from that library called Pygame. And this is a module from the Pygame library, and you can use this module for loading and playing sounds. You can see by using that statement from Pygame import Mixer. The from keyword comes first, followed by the name of that library, followed by the import statement, and after that the name of that module Mixer from that library called Pygame. That's it. We need to use that module only from that library here in our example. And there is a function inside that module, and that function is called mixer.init, or the init function for that module to initialize the Mixer module. And after that you can use it here inside our example. After initializing that module called Mixer using the init function, You can use that module simply. This module is called Mixer, and you can use functions for loading, pausing, and playing audio files. And simply you can see here the init function from that module called Mixer from the Pygame library. This is for initializing the Pygame mixer, and you can use it after that. Now let's use functions for loading our audio file, for loading our mp3 file. Say mixer.music.load and place that file in between the parentheses for music.load function from that module called Mixer. And if your file is another working directory, try to put the directory or the location for that file or the path for that file before the file name. And don't forget the extension for that file. This extension in that case is mp3. And the name of that file is 21, as you can see, simply in between single quotes, or you can use double quotes as well. This statement mixer.music.load is used to load a music file for playback. Also, you can use unload instead of load to unload the currently loaded music or audio to free up resources. Now we want to play that file here. We want to play it in the background. That file will be as a background music. You can see we have a function here. This function from the Mixer module. This function is music.play. We placed mixer.music.play to start the playback of the music stream simply, or the audio stream in the background. Now you need to run this program by hitting Shift Enter or Shift Return, or run that cell to start the playback of the music stream as a background music. Just run that cell from the run button or hit Shift Enter or Shift Return, and you will listen to this audio file on the background. It's like a background music. That's it simply. And you can use the play function to stop this playback. Once you call that function from that module called Mixer from the library called Pygame, this function called stop will stop the music playback. Mixer.music.stop simply is used to stop the music playback. That's it simply. After typing that, hit Shift Enter or Shift Return. After typing mixer.music.stop, run that cell, and the program will stop the background music automatically. That's it simply. You can do this by yourself. It's so easy, as you can see. Let's summarize all what we did in this lesson quickly. First of all, we installed the Pygame library. You need to install it using the pip package inside the Jupyter notebook like that. Using pip install Pygame, we installed it using that statement or that command here inside a cell. After that, we imported from the Pygame library, we imported the Mixer module, and that module is used for loading, playing, pausing, and unpausing an audio file. From Pygame, import Mixer, and we initialized it using the init function from the Mixer module. We initialized the Mixer module to work with it to start loading, playing, and stopping an audio file. After that, the Mixer module, and followed by the dot notation, followed by music.load to load an audio file from the current location, from the current working directory. And make sure to put the correct working directory before the file name if your audio file inside another working directory or inside another location. After that, after loading this audio file, you can see we used the play function. We used the music.play function, we called it, from the Mixer module to start playing our music, to start playing 21 mp3 file here. After that, after playing that as a background music, after playing that file as a background music, we just used the stop function music.stop to stop the playback music simply. That's it simply. Try to do this by yourself, and if you need any help, please ask me and I'll answer you as soon as possible. Thanks a lot for watching. See you again next lesson. Hi everyone. In this lesson I'll show you how to use the Pygame library with the Tkinter library to create full music player using Python programming language. Let me show you that in action. First of all, we used the import statement to import our tools here. First of all, from the Tkinter library we imported asterisk. Our first statement here is from Tkinter import asterisk, and that statement is used to import every exposed object in the Tkinter library into your current namespace. That's it simply, and after that you can see from Tkinter import file dialog. So what is the meaning of that statement? Tkinter file dialog comes in several types. Simply you can use this statement to open a single file, a directory, save as file, and much more. And for loading, playing, and stopping music, we imported a module called Mixer from the Pygame library. From Pygame, import Mixer. And make sure to install the Pygame library first using the pip package. And after that, use that statement from Pygame, import Mixer module. That's it. Now let's create a class as a main template for that player. You know, to declare a class in Python programming language or to declare main template using object-oriented concepts, we use the class statement or the class keyword. So in that case we used it followed by the name of that class for our player, which is called the player in that case, as you can see, and follow the rules for naming classes or variables in Python programming language, and set a meaningful name for any class you create. The class keyword followed by the name of that class, which is player, and at the end of that header try to put a colon, and that colon, after that colon you can hit enter or return to start the indented body of that class by forward spaces automatically. The class body here is indented using forward spaces automatically after hitting enter or return after the colon at the end of the class header. Now let's design our init function, the main constructor inside that class. You can see we designed the init function using the def keyword. We declared it first inside the body of the player class, and the self parameter to access the attributes or the instance attributes from that class once you create objects based on that class. And it has a parameter. This function or this method has a parameter in addition to self, which is called in that case window, as you can see, to create a window for our player. And the geometry function, you can see the geometry function for window for dimensions, and these dimensions, as you can see, or the dimension for that window is 320 multiplied by 100. After that we set a title. We inserted a title for that window, which is Python tiny player. This is the title for our window, for the player window, for the music player window that we want to create. And resizable 00 to make it not resizable, to make that window not resizable. And after that you can see we used the button widget from the Tkinter library, and this widget or this function is used to add buttons in Python programming language, and to create buttons for loading, for playing, for pausing and stopping inside the music player window. We used that button function here. The first one inside the music player window is the load button to load a music file, and we placed or we assigned this button, the button function, as a value for the load variable. As you can see, the first argument is window, the second argument text is equal to load. This is the text that you will see in that button called load. And after that you will see another argument. The width is equal to 10. Font, the font family is times, as you can see, and the font size is equal to 10. The last argument inside the button function for the load button here is the command function or the command method, and this method is used when the button is clicked. So by clicking this button, by using this button called load, you can load an audio file simply or a music file. That's it simply. Command is equal to self.load. This is so important. Let's talk about another one, which is the play button. We created another variable and we assigned the button function or the button widget to that variable also, as you can see simply. The first argument is window, the second argument is text is equal to play. In that case, the width is equal to 10, the font family is equal to times, font size is equal to 10, and the last argument, as you can see, the command method. The value for that command method is equal to self.play. Self to access the instance attributes simply from inside that class after creating objects based on that class called the player. The value for command in that case, self.play, to play the audio file, to play the loaded audio file once you hit the play button. That's it simply. This is the using of command is equal to self.play in that case for the play button. And after that you will see for the pause button we used the button widget again, as you can see, the button widget, and the first argument window, the second argument text is equal to pause. This is the text inside that button. Width is equal to 10. Font, the font family is times, the font size is equal to 10. Command is equal to self.pause, to pause the loaded or to pause the played audio file once you hit this button simply. This is the using of that command or the command function or the command method in that case simply. And the last button is for stop, and this button is called stop, and we used the button widget or the button method from the Tkinter library again, as you can see. The first argument is our window here. The second argument is text, and the value for the second argument is stop. This you will see this text for that button, and width is equal to 10 simply, as you can see. Font, the font family is times, and the font size is equal to 10. The command function at the end, the command function is the last argument here for the stop button, and its value is self.stop, to stop the played file, to stop the played music file. After that, the place function from the Tkinter library to insert the position for load, for the load button, for the play button, for the pause button, and finally for the stop button. Load.place is equal to, or the parameters, the arguments for the place for load.place, x is equal to 0, y is equal to 20. Play.place for the play button, the first argument x is equal to 110, the second argument for y is equal to 20. Pause, for the pause button we inserted pause.place to set the position for that button inside our window, inside the window of the music player. X is equal to 220, and y, the value of y is equal to 20, as you can see inside the parentheses of the pause.place function. The last one for the stop button, stop.place, we call that function, and look inside the parentheses of that function, the value of x for the position of x is equal to 110, y is equal to 60, simply as you can see. That's it. After implementing the buttons for our application inside the window for the music player application we want to create, make sure to insert an instance attribute called self.music_file. This instance attribute is called music_file, and you can name it any name you wish, is equal to false in that case. The self parameter is used to access these instance attributes once you create objects based on that class called the player. Self.playing_state is equal to false also for the playing state. For our application, now we need to insert another method to that class called the player we just made here to load music file or to load an audio file from our computer or from our local device. Exactly as follows. You can see we designed that method, or we declared that method called load. With the self parameter, don't forget to insert the self parameter inside the parentheses of that method. By using the def keyword, we declared that method called load. After that, you can see inside the body of that load method here, self.music_file, in that case is equal to file dialog.ask open file name. From the file dialog module we imported, or we called a method called ask open file name, and this function or this method is used to return a file name that you selected. This open function, this ask open file name function, also supports other useful options, including the initial directory displayed by the dialog, or filtering files by their extensions. So that function is used to show you the file name that you selected. It will give you the file name you selected using the Tkinter library with the file dialog module. That's it simply. Now, after creating that function called load, simply we need to create a method or a function to play our music file or our audio file. Let's do that. Let's create a function called play with the self parameter also inside the parentheses of that function to play our audio file or to play our music file simply. You can see here inside the player class we inserted another method. We declared another method using the def keyword for playing an audio file or for playing our music file, and we inserted a conditional if statement inside the body of that function or that method. If self.music_file, if the condition or the test expression for the conditional if statement is true, in that case we initialize the mixer to load and play our music file using the load function, music.load function for self.music_file, and also music.play to start playing our audio file or our music file using that method from the mixer module from the Pygame library. That's it simply as you can see. After all of that, you need to pause and unpause and also to stop the music file or the audio file here. So we need to insert two methods, a method for pause and a method for stop. The method for pause will be for pause and unpause, and I'll use the conditional if statement to do that inside this method. And after that we are gonna insert another method for stop to stop the audio file using the Pygame library, using the mixer module from the Pygame library, and we are gonna use inside the stop method mixer.music.stop function to stop the played audio file or the played music file. You can see in that case we inserted that method inside the player class for pausing the audio file or for pausing the music file. And you can see the conditional if statement inside the body of that method here. If not self.playing underscore state, if the condition of the conditional if statement in that case is like true, not self.playing underscore state is equal to true in that case, because the value of self.playing underscore state is false in that case. So not false is equal to true. If true, then we used the mixer module, and we used that function music.pause to pause the audio file or to pause the playback music file using that method from the mixer module from the Pygame library simply. And after that you can see we used a variable, or we used an instance attribute or attribute inside that function or that method, and that attribute is called playing underscore state, or playing state is equal to true in that case because the condition is true. If true, mixer.music.pause, then self.playing, the self parameter, don't forget the self parameter, followed by the dot notation, followed by the name of the attribute, and the value in that case is true. And if the condition of the conditional if statement is false, the program will execute the else statement automatically, and you know that. And the program will execute the else block, which is unpausing the audio file using mixer.music.unpause method from the mixer module from the Pygame library also. And in that case, the playing state is equal to false, not true. And you can see also the last method is the stop method. The def keyword to define it, and for stop the audio file or for stopping the music file, we use that method mixer.music.stop. Call it only, and don't forget to place an empty braces at the end of that method here. Finally, you need to call the take function from the TechEnter library to create a window and insert that widgets inside that window simply. And after that you can create also an object based on that class called the player. And the last thing that we're gonna do is using the main loop function, and that function is used to prevent the displayed window from exiting immediately. As you can see, we created a window using the take function. We called it and we assigned it to new underscore root, and after that we created an object and we created an instance from the player class, and this is called the player app, as you can see. And we inserted new root inside the parentheses to insert our window, to insert all the widgets from inside the player class to that window, inside that window, by using the take function. And finally, you can take a look at the last statement, which is calling the main loop function, and that function is used to prevent the displayable window from exiting immediately here for that application for displaying the music or the audio file simply. Now it's time to run our program, to execute that program by using Shift Enter or Shift Return, or by using the run button to show our program, to show the window, or to show the full player, the full audio player. Simply you can load a file, you can play a file, and you can pause and stop a file by using that player. Let's run it. After executing this program, once you hit the run button, you will see this program. You can load a file from the current working directory and you can listen to it once you hit play, and you can pause it by hitting the pause button, and you can stop it using the stop button also simply. That's all for this lesson. As you can see, very simple and very easy, and you can do this by yourself. You can see the title for that window, Python Tiny Player, and we inserted all the buttons inside the window as you can see. Thanks a lot for watching. See you again next lesson. Hi everyone. In this section I will show you how to create full video player using Python programming language. To create a video player using the Python programming language, in this section we need a library called CV2. This library is a Python library. You can import it after installing the OpenCV library for computer vision. You can import it first and after that you can use it, but make sure to install the OpenCV library first. OpenCV is a huge Python library, is a huge open source Python library for computer vision, machine learning and image processing. And you can install it using the pip package manager, using this command or this statement, pip install, and that package name or this library name opencv-python. After that you can use the CV2 library that we are gonna need in this lesson, that we are gonna use to create full video player using Python programming language by using the import statement to import CV2. Just type import at the beginning of the program followed by the name of the library CV2, exactly as you can see, and I will show you that practically in the next lesson. Thanks a lot for watching. See you again in the practical lesson. Hi everyone. In this lesson I will show you how to create a simple video player using Python programming language by using a library called OpenCV. The OpenCV library is a computer vision library from Python libraries, and that library has many useful functions for images, for videos and many more. Also, that library is free to use. It's an open source library. Now let's get started. First of all, we need to install that library using the pip package here inside the Jupyter Notebook. Let's install it first. That command or that statement, pip install opencv-python, will collect that library opencv-python. This command here will download and install that library inside the Jupyter Notebook, so you can use it for free and you can use it for anything you wish. After installing it, you can import it and you can use any function from that library. Feel free to do that. At the beginning of our video player program, you need to use the import statement first to import the CV2 library. We are gonna use that library. Just import it first at the beginning, exactly as you can see. It's like importing any library. I will show you how to import that library, and also I will show you another importing example for the NumPy library after that. You can see the needed library is the CV2 for our program. You must import it using the import statement, exactly as you can see. Also, you can put an alias for that library if you wish, exactly as we did after that for the NumPy library. You can use an alias for the CV2 library, exactly as we did here for the NumPy. We used the import statement to import the NumPy library first, followed by the as keyword to rename that library, and after that, for that numerical Python library, we set a new name. That new name is MP. That's it. You can do the same thing for CV2 if you wish. And if you want to use the same name for the library CV2, exactly as we will do in this example, try to do that also. That's it. From the CV2 library, you are gonna use a function. This function is called video capture function, and this function to open the video file. Let's use it. You can see our operation here, cv2.videoCapture, and the name of our file from the location, from the current location here. This video is called fun, and the extension for that video is mp4. This is a video file. and we assign this operation from the right side to a variable on the left side, new capture. This is the name of the variable. And the video capture function from the CV2 library is used to open a video file. Also, you can open image file sequence or a capturing device. Also, you can use it to open an IP video stream for video capturing and many more. This is a very useful function for opening video files. Our next step here is to check if the video file is opened successfully or not. We use the conditional if statement here to do that, and we have a function here. This function is called isOpened, and this function returns true if video capturing has been initialized already. And in that case, you can see we used the variable called new capture, refers to our operation cv2.videoCapture for our video file from the current working directory, followed by the dot notation, followed by that function. And if this operation is equal to false, if the file is not opened, the program will print error for opening the video file. We used the print function inside the conditional if statement here, inside the indented body for the conditional if statement, to print out this string data type. You will see this string data type if the file is not opened. You will see error for opening the video file. After that, let's create a while loop to read the video until that video is completed. As you can see exactly, the while loop, and in between the parentheses of that loop, new capture is opened. That value is equal to true in that case, because that function called isOpened returns true if video capturing has been initialized already. And you can see inside the body of that loop, the returning capturing, then frame is equal to new capture.read, to read that video file until that video file is completed. That's it, easily and simply. You can see a conditional if statement here inside the while loop after read, and also frame is equal to new capture.read to read the video file. If read is equal to true, we use the function from the CV2 library in that case, and look inside the parentheses of that function. You will see two arguments. This function is used to display an image or a video in a window. The window automatically fits to the image size, and that function has two arguments here. The first one will be the window name, and the second one will be the image or the frame, as you can see. For capturing frame by frame, we used read, frame is equal to new capture and the read function to capture frame by frame for our video, and after that the conditional if statement. And look inside the conditional if statement, we used imShow function, and this is used to display the resulting frame for our video. Now it's time to exit by using the Q button. Let's create another conditional if statement in order to press Q on the keyboard to exit from the video. You can see the conditional if statement here using the if statement or the if keyword, followed by the test expression, which is CV2, the name of the library, followed by the dot notation, followed by the function with key, and 25 milliseconds inside the parentheses of that function, and the AND operator, the logical AND operator. Then OXFF is equal to the order function or the ORD function, and after that Q in between the parentheses of the ORD function, and that is the test expression. And if the test expression for the conditional if statement in that case is true, the program will break using the break statement here inside the body of that conditional if statement. Now let's discuss these concepts for the conditional if statement for the test expression or the condition for that conditional if statement. Look inside that test expression, you will see the ORD function, ORD Q in between the parentheses. This is to return the Unicode code point of Q, and the function called waitKey from the CVT library is used to return a 32-bit integer corresponding to the pressed key. And also after that you will see and OXFF. This is a bit mask which sets the left 24 bits to 0, because the ORD function returns a value between 0 and 255. Since your keyboard only has a limited character set, therefore once the mask is applied, it's then possible to check if it's the corresponding key. So once you hit Q, the Q key from the keyboard, the program will close the video. After that, you need to add the else statement inside the while loop to break that loop. That's it, simply. You can see the else statement, and inside the body or the indented body of the else statement, the break statement to break that loop if the previous condition for the conditional if statement is false. Finally, we need to call two useful functions. We need to call the release function for the new capture to release that video when everything is completed, and also we need to call the destroy all windows function to close all frames. After all of that, you can see here we used the release function or the release method, and this method should only be called in the locked state. It changes the state to unlocked and returns immediately. You need to call that function only after the name of the variable new capture refers to cv2.videoCapture to capture our video file from the current location. And don't forget to put an empty parenthesis or an empty braces for the calling of that function release. Finally, the calling of the destroy all windows function. You can see that function is from the CV2 library simply, and that function simply destroys all the windows we created. So to destroy our all frames here in this example, to destroy the video frames, just use that function exactly as you can see. That's it, simply from the CV2 library. Call that function after the dot notation at the end of that player, at the end of that program for the video player. Now you need to run that program to show or to open that video file here, to open the fun mp4 video file. Now hit shift enter or shift return or use the run button to run that program or to execute it, and you will see it will play the video file. That's it, simply. You can see here our video file is opened simply, and you can hit Q to close that video file without any problems. That's it, simply. Try to do this by yourself to open any video file, and don't forget to put the extension of the video file. Now it's time to summarize all what we did here in this lesson. First of all, we installed the OpenCV library using this command pip install opencv-python, and after installing that library using that command here, we imported it using the import statement import cv2, and we used a function to capture our video file from the current location using a function called video capture from the cv2 library, and we assigned it to a variable called new capture to use that variable in our program simply without any problem. And after that, to check if the file opens successfully, we used a conditional if statement, and you can see inside the conditional if statement condition or the test expression new capture dot is opened is equal to false. If the file is not opened successfully, the program will give you error for opening the video file. We created that conditional if statement here, and also for reading the video to complete, we created a while loop as you can see simply, and that while loop The test expression for that while loop is new capture dot is opened, and that condition is true in that case. So returning capture and frame is equal to new capture, the name of the variable, to read that video file. And we created a conditional if statement inside the indented body of the while loop, and that conditional if statement condition is returning is equal to true, or ret is equal to true, as you can see. In that case, we used imShow function with the 2 arguments, and that function is used to display an image or a frame in a window. That's it simply. It has 2 arguments. The first one is the window name, and the second one is the image or the frame name or the video name, as you can see. And also we have another conditional if statement after that to press Q to exit from our video simply, and the else statement after that to break this video or to break this program if all the previous conditions are false. That's it, easily. And to release when everything is completed, we used the release method for the new capture variable, refers to the fun mp4 video we imported or we opened. After that, we used a function. Finally, we used a function called destroy all windows function from the CV2 library, and that function is used to destroy or to close all the windows we created or to close all the frames we created. This is our simple program here. Try to do this by yourself, and if you need any help, please ask me and I'll answer you as soon as possible. Thanks a lot for watching. See you again next lesson. Hello and welcome to this section for Database Creator from CSV files. In this section you will learn how to create a database using the SQLite library from Python libraries from CSV file. So we need to use the SQLite 3 library from Python libraries. What is that library? SQLite is a lightweight database, and you can use that library SQLite 3 from Python libraries to work with SQLite or SQL databases. And SQLite 3 can be integrated with Python programming language by using the SQLite 3 module. You can import it first and you can use it after that. You must import that module to work with the SQLite database. So we are gonna import it using the import statement, using the statement import SQLite 3, and after that you can work with the SQLite database and you can use functions or the syntax of the SQLite using that library simply. Also, we need to use the pandas library for CSV handling to work with the CSV file that we want to load. Pandas is so popular in Python programming language for data analysis or data science. We are gonna import that library to work with the CSV file as we said beforehand, using the import statement followed by the name of that library and the as statement or the as keyword to set a new name for that library. So we are gonna use that new name called PD. That's it simply. In the next lesson I will show you how to create a database and also how to set the data from a CSV file inside that database simply. Our program in this section is so simple about creating SQLite database from a CSV file. Let's see that practically. Let me show you that quickly. You can see here our CSV file in the same location or the same working directory. We want to read this data and insert this data inside a database file. The libraries that we need here is the SQLite 3 from Python programming language, so we imported it using the import statement import SQLite 3 followed by the import statement to import pandas as PD to work with the CSV file. You can analyze CSV data using pandas, and this library is so powerful for working with the CSV files. Before start writing our program, you need or you have to import these libraries first at the beginning of our program. After that, to create a connection for the database, for the SQLite database, you can use the connect from the SQLite 3 module or the SQLite 3 library. This function you can call it, and in between the parentheses of that function, place the location, and we want to create the database that is called demo5 with the extension for that file db, because this is a database file. And also the connect function will create a connection for that database, so you can insert the data after that inside that file simply. And we assign this operation from the right side to a variable called new connection, so you can use the variable name inside your program many times to access this operation, to access the file or to access the connection for that file that is called demo5, the database file. Now we want to create a data frame using pandas library, using the pandas library, so we use this operation here. The name of the library or the alias for that library or the new name pd for the pandas library, followed by the dot notation, followed by that function from the pandas library to read a CSV file. Read underscore CSV to read that file called demo5 from inside this location, this current working directory. And if you want to load data from another working directory, try to put the location before the file name, and don't forget to put the extension for the CSV file. We set this operation to a variable called demo underscore data, so you can use the variable name here. You can name it any name you wish. You can create a variable name, any variable name you wish, and also you can create any CSV file in any location and you can read it, but try to put the location before the file name here inside the parentheses of the function called read CSV. And to write the data from the CSV file to a SQLite table, you need to use that function called toSQL. And after the variable name, as you can see, the variable name demo data for the read CSV file for our CSV file that is called demo5, to insert the data from that file inside another file that is called demo5, but in this case the new file will be a database file in the location we inserted previously inside the parentheses of the connect function. And you can see the second parameter or the second argument is new connection. The variable name refers to SQLite.connect. Then if this file exists using this parameter or this argument, then the program will replace it with a new file called demo5 here and set false as a value for index. That's it simply. Finally, you need to use the close function to close this connection to this SQLite database we created, using the close function as you can see for the new connection. You need to close this connection simply using new connection.close. Call that function using an empty parenthesis after the variable name, after the dot notation. Now, this is our program here. If you hit Shift Enter or Shift Return or execute this program by hitting the Run button, you will see demo5 is created inside the current working directory here, and the CSV file data is moved from the CSV file called demo5 to a database we created here called demo5. That's it, so simple and so easy. Thanks a lot for watching.